Hi, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Live with your hosts, Ben and Rob. In a big win for the cryptocurrency exchange market, the crypto coin XRP won its court battle against the Securities and Exchange Commission. If the SEC had won this court case, though, would it have been one step closer for the government to roll out the central digital bank currency backed by the World Economic Forum?
Or is it a double-edged sword, which we're going to get into later in this episode? And in other news, Hollywood actors from the Screen Actors Guild, or the SAG, have begun a strike, halting nearly all production that has already stalled due to the writer's strike, which has been going on now for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, and we'll explore both of these topics as well as other strange and paranormal news. For instance, did you know scientists discovered a mysterious radioactive rock on the far side of the moon? Or that archaeologists uncovered Noah's Ark codex, a calfskin parchment from 13,000 BC?
Yeah. How about other news that the International Space Station picked up a UFO for over 20 minutes? Hear about it all. Plus, don't miss out on the weekly Mandela Effect, or Bendela Effect, as we're calling them, the top 10 weirder news of the week, and a Dig Deep live Q&A only on rise.tv. So we'll see you guys out
on the edge.
And if you're listening to our Edge of Wonder podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and review so we keep making this awesome content for you guys. And yeah, and wherever you're watching us, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Okay. The intro got me. We're going to have to look at some of this stuff. This is crazy. Noah's Ark codex.
Yeah, dude, this is really cool. So, but before we get into
of course
that, Noah's Ark. Then there's
the radioactive moon rock.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's also really strange. And we do have some more UFO stuff. There was also a senator involved in a UFO release, talking about, again, more of like the military having UFOs in their possession. So we have a packed show, that's for sure.
It's a banger.
Yes. All right. First, actually, we have to give credit to Lindsay because she actually found this first thing. That,
yes,
we're gonna kind of play this. This is pretty interesting. A study.
Yeah, listen to this, you guys. This will make your day.
In Ohio State University, where they were feeding rabbits diets that were extremely high in cholesterol. And they found, to their amazement, there was one group of rabbits that never got the high cholesterol levels. After a while, they found out that the technician who was feeding these rabbits, instead of just throwing the food at them, he would stroke them and pet them and cuddle them and kiss them and then feed them the same poisonous food. But now, as a result of that experience of happiness, they made chemicals inside their brain and their body that turned the cholesterol into a completely different metabolic pathway. So it's not just the food you eat, but what your awareness, what your consciousness and your state of emotions is at the time you're eating. Your state of mind can convert nectar into poison and the other way around. Already done in Ohio State.
Wow.
So, what was your take home from this, Ben?
Well, granted, this is just a study of rabbits, right? But he's kind of proving the point that when we really truly have positive, righteous thoughts and are really happy and, feeding each other with compassion, that it's like, it doesn't matter as much what we're putting into our bodies, because all that positivity is actually can overpower whatever that negative aspect is in our body. That's kind of the way I look at it.
It's a great message. My take home was similar, although I added on potentially dressing up like a rabbit and having your loved ones feed you food. I mean, how could they not feel love for you if you were dressed up like a rabbit, right?
Yeah. And on more of a darker twist, does that mean we should be eating more rabbits?
No.
Sorry. There was a restaurant that I went to a lot that served rabbit, but I never had. I don't know if I can ever eat rabbits. So.
Oh yeah, you could, dude.
If I was hungry and if it's starving or something.
Okay, I mean, look at it this way: if it was prepared right, you'd just think it was normal meat. You wouldn't even know, right?
Probably not. I don't know what it tastes like though, so I have no idea if it tastes more like chicken or just.
I don't know. I would tell you
bean.
that you should come over and we'll rotisserie one, but I feel like people at home might get upset at me, so I'm not going to say that.
Not.
I'm kidding. I can do that.
All right. Well, okay. Moving on from rabbits. How about fish? This was caught. I'm not even sure where this was caught.
Is
this?
this?
I actually don't know.
Somebody needs to tell me what this is.
Yeah. It's a cross between an eel, an octopus, and a squid or something. Or jellyfish. It almost looks fake until it starts like moving around.
Just keep an eye on it, you guys, because it does start to move after it comes up close to the ship. And like, just see its tail and stuff. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, it's maybe a type of squid or something, but that long fin behind it.
Yeah, man.
At this point, I'm looking at that thing and I'm like, is it a mutant fish? Like, did something go wrong?
I have to admit, I mean, it's kind of like a majestic in its own light, you know, like you're looking at this and you're like, wow, I've never seen this before. And it actually looks really cool.
Well, it doesn't look like it have eyes.
Yeah, I know.
See that? And like, see it just it scurried away, but watch its tail. Like, that is so interesting looking.
Yeah, man. I think it's a really cool looking animal. It almost looks like the head is like expanding, like that's where its lungs are or something is in the head.
Somebody on our chat said, is that a bat eel? I've never heard of a bat eel, so I don't know.
A bat eel.
A bat eel.
Maybe
Lindsay can do a Google search for a bat eel.
Bat eel? Yeah, what is that?
It's so weird looking. Yeah, where was this too? Do we know? This was
that's the only problem. It's somewhere. I want to say it was somewhere in South American culture or something, but I don't know. It could have been in the Caribbean, maybe.
I mean, wouldn't we be seeing these things all the time though? If this was common, I mean,
yeah. Well, and a lot of people are saying like mermaid. And speaking of mermaids, in our weirder news later that we're going to get into, there is a reported mermaid that washed up on a beach, and it was confirmed that it was a real creature. The question is it a mermaid or not? So we'll get into that later when we do our weirder news segment. So, yeah, I was like, whoa, finally something on mermaids, you know, that actually seems real. So we'll find that out. All right. Moving on. Okay. Why don't we do our Mandela effect before we...
I'm going to give you trouble on this one.
Okay. So this is interesting because I came across this on a lot of people on the internet were freaking out about it. And I was curious to see what you would say, Rob, because I figured you would kind of know it from the other standpoint, from the correct where it is now. So, well, I just showed it. Oops. Well, is it scan disk or SAN disk for the USB flash drive?
Well, I can actually explain this. It's definitely not ScanDisk. It is SanDisk.
Okay.
For sure. It's always been SanDisk. And the reason why it's called SanDisk is because SAN means without or not.
Interesting.
So it's without a disk. That was the whole point. That was why they named it SanDisk. It's like when you have a font and it's a sans serif. It's because there's no serifs on the font. It's just a clean font, right? So ScanDisk never existed. I can see why people would have confused it, but I think this is one of those Mandela effects that people have just kind of forgot, or they have like a different, they used to always say it like this, but they never really looked at it carefully.
Well, it's really interesting because in the comments here in this post, there's a lot of people that do remember it as scan disk, and the person who wrote this is like, this was a scan disk. The last time I bought it was 12 years ago, not SanDisk. For anyone thinking, MEs only happen in pulp culture, I got this at Target today, and people are saying they remember, like someone says, I remember ScanDisk. Other people are saying that they remember it being SanDisk, like you were saying. So I want to say, I thought I remember it being ScanDisk because, like, I wouldn't have thought about it. Like, what the heck does SanDisk mean? It's like, like with you knowing that much background, especially with the like fonts and whatnot, that's why I was really curious about what you would think. I was like, I bet Rob will have an explanation for it. So that's really interesting.
That is my explanation, but this could just be simply a Japanese company, and San is
that's true too.
Japanese, right?
That could be as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So I don't know. I'm curious what you guys remember for this one, but interesting. In the chat, it's kind of like most people are saying SanDisk. Some people are saying scan though. So that's really, pretty cool. Anyway,
now I've been using SanDisks since they came out because of my design work. Like, I've had to put design work on these things for like years and years and years, and I like looked at logos of things feverishly all the time, and it was never, in my experience, it was never ScanDisk.
Well, what's so weird is that don't we get the terminology SD card from SanDisk? Like, isn't it, so that, because it's kind of like a Kleenex, right? Like, everyone calls it a Kleenex, but really Kleenex is the brand, and it's just really a tissue. But it's like they marketed that way, and it's the same thing from my understanding with the although I guess, okay, I'm looking it up right now. SD card stands for secure digital. Never even knew that. So
me either.
I always thought it was SAN or scan, whatever it was. I just thought that was like, they were the first ones that made it, and that's why we just call it the SD card.
I'm also it's really not very secure, so I'm confused why.
I guess the only reason it has that little lock thing on it. That's
okay. That's true. Like, kind of like those old hard disks. You remember that switch on the hard disks in the past? I turned the TV on for a second, and one of the earlier Fast and Furious movies was on, and it was this really funny scene where this, like, what was the guy that died? What was his name again?
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker sits down next to this kid who's in front of a computer, and the kid pops in a hard drive disk, and he's like showing him stuff on his computer, like it's really cool. And Paul Walker's like amazed at what the kid's doing, and I was like, man, this looks so bad. It was so bad. It was really funny. Yeah, it was this movie.
Yeah, the first. I haven't seen the first one, and I don't even know when last time I saw that movie.
Me either. It hasn't aged well. It definitely hasn't aged well. Like, certain things age well, like Blade Runner aged well.
Yeah. Well, anything when you're starting to talk literally about like what computers are, or what's like, when you're like, wow, look at this feature, you're talking about in the 90s, it's just like, that's so. It's like, that's why hackers got outdated so fast. They were just using all these.
It's too bad we can't do like watch lives with our subscribers, because it'd be really funny to watch like really bad movies that haven't aged well with everyone and just like joke around about it.
It would actually,
like, I'd want to watch like Hackers.
We may be able to do that.
Maybe if it's on a secure platform, maybe.
No, because they never. Wait, I think because okay, there's like the Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Riff Tracks. Riff Tracks does that, but actually, I think they
buy rights to all.
They either buy rights or wait till the rights expire on a movie.
Well, right, and the brilliance of Mystery Science Theater 3000 is like they either waited until they were all free or they batch bought just a bunch of useless stuff and then just
totally useless
all of them.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Well, I mean, it's really not that difficult to get a rights of a movie if it's really bad. No one wants to watch it.
Yeah, we used to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 all the time at home. Like it'd always be on with the three guys, and like I'd get bored a lot of times because the movies were so bad, and sometimes even the characters in the front wouldn't have anything to say. It was just bad.
It was just bad. It really was. I think it was Time Chasers. That's one of my favorite ones from Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm pretty sure it's called Time Chasers.
There's just so much bad stuff we could watch. Like that He-Man movie from 1988 or something.
Oh, man, I was so disappointed. I was so excited for that movie. And I'm like, what is this? And then like,
it wasn't at all.
Like, who is this?
That movie gave all movies a bad rap for not following the actual story ever.
Oh man, I know. But speaking of bad movie or like not following the original storyline, which we'll get into later, we'll talk about Snow White.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me about Oppenheimer. I was going to start laughing.
Oh, no, I haven't. I don't know much about it. That movie, it's gotten pretty good reviews. But
it's a Christopher Nolan film, so I'm sure I'm gonna. Of course, like I need to go watch.
See it.
Yeah. Have you heard about this whole thing called Barbenheimer? So Barbenheimer is this big thing, and actually, it's a really brilliant marketing because both Barbie and Oppenheimer are coming out the same day.
Oh yeah, they are coming out the same day. Yeah,
so everyone's like, there are these T-shirts that have been designed that starts off with the Barbie logo and then ends with the Oppenheimer logo. So it's Barbenheimer. And so people are going to watch both movies one after the other.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I'm going to do it on July 21st. I'm going to go and I'm going to take part in Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dress up like an Oompa Loompa for no reason. Somebody said something about an Oompa Loompa.
Or Ken. Wow. Okay. That's I would probably want to see Barbie first to get it out of the way and see him.
Well, actually, I was thinking about this, and even though it's called Barbenheimer, I think I would rather watch Oppenheimer first and end with something light and funny. You know what I mean?
I don't know if Barbie's going to be light and funny.
No, it could be
bad, ridiculous.
It's supposed to be really good. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it's like, at least it's like not, because, Christopher Nolan movies, like afterwards, you're like, you have to like shut down for a couple of days and think about them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, what was that? What was the one war movie that he came out with recently? I can't think of the name of it.
Christopher Nolan? Tenet.
Yeah. No. Before Tenet, it was the war. Was the war movie
1912 or whatever? Or no,
I don't think he did that one.
Yeah, it was something like.
Gosh, I can't think of it. I saw it in the theater anyway.
It's
just nonstop the whole movie. It's like you literally feel like you're in a war where there's like no pause.
Dunkirk. Sorry, it was Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, that was intense.
Dunkirk was very good.
Yeah, it was really good. I just don't know if I was like, wow, I don't know if I can sit through this one more time, but it was really good. If you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing for sure. So, all right. Well, let's see. We're going to be moving on, but then we have to play we're going to show a trailer too for Arise.tv. When we get back, we'll talk about the Noah's Ark Codex from 13,000 BC and what this actually means.
All right.
And we're just waiting for Lindsay to play a trailer. We probably sprung that on her a little bit.
You guys, it takes me 6 minutes to pull up a trailer.
Youth, a time of fun, pranks, and jokes. A time of hopscotch, ice cream floats, soda pop, and double dates at the drive-in. It's a time for finding one's place in the world. But in these troubled times, the innocence of youth has been capitalized on and manipulated for profit. This is a sugar and marketing manipulation PSA from Edge of Wonder. And it's one you've never heard before. Did you know that sugar was unhealthy? Yes. Did you know that companies like Coke and Pepsi fund health research? You aren't supposed to know that. Did you know that the history of sugar involves a deliberate agenda to hook children like a drug and use marketing, media, and subliminal messaging to purposely manipulate not just children, but even parents?
There's a fine white powder lurking in your cupboard, and it isn't cocaine. Join Edge of Wonder for a deep dive into the sickly, sweet world of the sugar agenda that has infiltrated your home, your children's minds, and even the world's governments.
This expose will reveal the truth being kept from you. But more importantly, you'll learn what to look out for, so the manipulation can't continue.
Well, Ben, that was our Big Food Agenda series, which is pretty interesting. Even though you guys already probably know that sugar is such a destructive force, that series really sheds light on it and explains the ins and outs of the entire thing in a really interesting way that relates it all to food and what's going on in our bodies. So, in order to get around all of that, we're going to require that you dress up like a bunny rabbit and then go get a lot of love and attention from your loved ones before you eat any of the sugar that you're putting into your bodies.
Just don't dress up as the
the one from that movie.
Was that
Darko?
Yeah, don't dress up like that, funny.
You know what's funny is after we were talking about that, I was like, I had this like visualization of one of us in one of those bunny outfits that's like asking someone to feed them.
Oh man,
that's so creepy. But that movie was really excellent. Like, it's a great sci-fi movie.
I think Lindsay was trying to pull up something, but maybe it didn't work.
Lindsay's pulling up a photo of the Invisible Man.
I
don't know what happened there.
I don't know either, but anyway. All right. Yeah. So, and by the way, you guys, like what we just showed all of that with our trailer with the food agenda, that's all on rise.tv. We have a whole massive series on basically everything you can potentially think of. So you can find all of those on rise.tv. And of course, now we're releasing some things publicly, but for the whole series, you can find it on Rise TV. All right. This is, I don't know why this is not being more promoted in the media. I mean, I guess it's because it is the media,
or just given fair, like, due diligence and analysis at the very least.
Yeah. That's what I would say too. So archaeologists uncover Noah's Ark codex. So it's a calfskin parchment from 13,000 years ago. And we might be having some
Lindsay,
issue.
You're having some technical difficulties because nothing is popping up.
Yeah.
Is it popping up for you?
No, it is not.
No, I'm talking about for Lindsay. Lindsay.
The last one popped up for me, but this one looks like it's loading. That's strange.
Try it one more time.
Yeah, you want to try it one more time? Yeah, there's nothing there. It's giving us the Invisible Man again. You want to log out and log back in?
I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
Let me see if I can share this. You can start reading this, Rob.
Yeah, okay. So according to maritime executives Joel Clenk, I guess his name is, a calfskin parchment was found inside Noah's Ark, recently discovered, which was estimated to be from the period of 13,100 to 9,600 BC, in thereabouts. So, give it a good 3,000 years there. The parchment contained Paleo-Hebrew letters, numbers, and grammar thought to be written by one of the four individuals mentioned in both Genesis 610, and the Quran, such as Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, or the wives. Okay. And Joel Clank from academia.edu asserts that Noah's Ark, accessible through tunnels 4 to 11 meters below ground level and located in the southern gorge of Mount Ararat, is the most impressive archaeological site of all time. The vessel is estimated to have been built in the late Epipaleolithic period, which was what I said, 13,100 to 9,600 BC, and is approximately 158 meters long with a height of 3,900 to 4,700 meters. Additionally, there are 14 archaeological features in total.
Yeah, and one of the main things is that the Armenians have been trying to conceal. Like, this is why this could be why publicly it's not being promoted. You know, we even had recently on our show up talking about Lost City, or not Lost City of Atlantis. I'm sorry, about Garden of Eden. We brought this up that they might have found Noah's Ark and where they think it actually is. And you can see the shape of it. And a guy named Ron White was one of the people to kind of find it. And the Turkish government actually came out in support that they also believe that it is the Noah's Ark. And it's saying the Armenians have been potentially trying to conceal where this is, to not have, you know,
looters and stuff come in.
Everything. Yeah. It's kind of like a sacred thing. So anyway,
Lindsay, can you pull up an image while we're talking of Mount Ararat?
Oh, there's our
look, there it is, Mount Ararat.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Because the interesting thing about the Ark, again, it's kind of like similar story to Moses too, where it does connect with Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So it kind of has all of those. And so they're worried that it could create kind of like some kind of fighting. I mean, it says here is that, you know, some people might want to try to demolish it. Some people might try to take it, whatever it is. So that's one of the reasons why some people had to try to conceal where it is. But the Turkish government in Turkey have come out in support of this. So, but this parchment, this is insane, because I mean, this is especially if this is written by someone in Noah's family or Noah himself. I mean, this is like massive. And this just shows that this whole period is actually true.
Well, and isn't it in the Bible that he landed on Mount Ararat?
Well, it's not directly, but it does mention a very specific, it says the name of the mountain, but it's not Ararat now in today's world. I mean, like the name of it. But when we were doing the Garden of Eden, what a lot of scholars came to believe is that that must be the resting place based on the geographical locations of where things are, where they feel like they might have ended up, and being the tallest peak in that area. So that was
okay. So how tall is Mount Ararat? Do we know the height and feet?
I'm trying to think. I don't know the exact numbers of that. I think we actually mentioned it in our Garden of Eden series, but I kind of forget now what the exact time. I mean, it's not like
17,000 feet, or about 5,000 meters above sea level.
Okay, thanks.
This is almost 17,000 feet high. This is a big mountain. That's big.
Yeah. And then, like, think about it. If everything is flooded, and then, you know, realistically, you're only seeing maybe a portion of that peak, and then everyone like kind of rests on that mountain, and then gradually the flood, you know, goes away, and then that's kind of.
No, dude, check this out. Its last eruption was July 2nd, 1840. So this is a
kind of new,
fairly active volcano.
Yeah.
They say it's dormant, but 1840 was not that long ago.
That was not long ago. That's a lot sooner than I realized.
It consists of two major volcanic cones. This greater Ararat and that little smaller mountain, I guess, beside it.
That's wow. That's really
Okay,
cool.
actually, the Bible says mountains, plural, of Ararat, not mountains, singular.
Does it mention Ararat directly?
Well, it does say that
I
this
could be wrong.
entry says that it does. Actually, the Bible says mountains, plural, of Ararat, not
Okay,
mountains.
it does mention. Okay, I
Second of
wasn't.
all, after the flood, it says that the people journeyed from the east and settled in the plain of Shinar, which is in southern Iraq, which became Babel. Mount Ararat is north of the plain of Shinar, not east.
That's really.
Some prominent Bible scholars believe the ark to be in the western mountains of Iran. They're really tall mountains there. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, Iran also has really tall mountains.
And dude, I mean, what's really interesting too is like if that's the case, if Babel was in Iraq, which probably it was. We've got Saudi Arabia now with the tallest building in the world, and it's like, just sounds a little bit similar to the Tower of Babel.
Babel, yeah,
it
does.
That's weird.
It is.
That thing is like 2 times bigger than like or more than like the world trade over here.
Oh yeah.
Freedom Tower or whatever.
Yeah.
Is this Mount Doom, Lindsay?
I don't know what this is.
Yes.
Oh, so that's Lord of the Rings. Oh, okay. I was like, is that a real volcano? I don't know if that is.
That was Mount Ararat if it looked exactly like Mount Doom.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. Why don't we that was really cool. Unfortunately, there's not a lot more information because this is so new. Hopefully there will be more information about that. But that was definitely a very awesome story. But okay, why don't we get to the SAG strike? So so the main thing, and this is, I had no idea that Fran Drescher was the president of.
Dude, Fran Drescher is a legend among Jewish folks.
Yeah.
She's a legend in general, but especially among her people.
Yeah.
I can definitely confirm that one. I grew up Jewish, and Fran is like the young people's Barbara Streisand.
And she is, I mean, gosh, first of all, she was hilarious on The Nanny, like outrageously funny, but she's just like smart as a whip.
Yeah. And she's still married to that doctor guy, right?
Dr.
Shiva, yeah.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
It is.
Well,
what an interesting couple.
Yeah, really. And so a lot of people didn't know that she was the president, even that were part of the SAG community. And dude, so the main thing that they're protesting against is not necessarily more pay, but for the AI aspect, AI being used in their images. And actually, dude, there's
used in their writing, you mean?
No.
Images or writing? What are you talking about?
Like in AI, like them acting, but it's not them. It's actually AI creation.
Oh, yes,
digital
okay.
AI.
So there's many things going on, right? We're not just talking about digital AI acting. We're also talking about the Writers Guild having a problem.
Well, yeah. So there's two things.
Right.
First, there was the Writers Guild, which was protesting against AI and their jobs and everything. Now the actors came out saying that they also don't really want AI to replace them. So there's a Black Mirror episode, and I can't remember what it's called. It actually might be called Janet. I think it might just be called Janet or something, and it's on Netflix. But it starts out with this girl and her boyfriend watching what's like supposed to be Netflix, and it's not Netflix. It's like called something different. And there's a movie called Janet, or a show called Janet, and she's like, that looks like me. So they start watching this show, and it's Selma Hayek in this show that they're watching on supposedly Netflix, and it's her life. And it's like everything that she's doing in her life, she's seeing on screen, and it's even happening simultaneously, like as like they're having this conversation, she's like seeing it on the screen. And so she freaks out, and it's showing her whole life, and she doesn't know what's going on. So she wants to sue. And it's like, oh, when you signed up for Netflix, you wrote on page, 63 here, we can use your likeness or whatever, Meanwhile, she finds out that it's all CGI and AI, and that's actually not Salma Hayek or Hayek.
Salma Hayek, yeah.
Yeah. So Salma Hayek goes to the Netflix and she's freaking out because she's like, hey, this isn't me. I'm not acting. You guys are using this AI image as me. And they're like, oh no, you signed our contract and we can do whatever we want with your image now. And so
were they using Netflix in a Netflix show?
Yes. But it wasn't called Netflix, but it looked exactly like Netflix, because it's on Netflix, but it was called like, I don't know.
I would have been impressed if they actually
something.
used the Netflix brand, because that would have been smart, but no, they were like,
yeah, it was really fascinating. It really was, because it's just, you're thinking about this, and then it kind of shows the two of them teaming up together at some point, because they're like, oh my gosh, she's like, my reputation's at stake, and she's like, my reputation's at stake, because this is not even me acting, it's this AI, and I didn't agree to this, I don't want to do this. So it's just it was really weird. So a lot of people are referencing this Black Mirror episode because of what's happening with the strike and the AI. But there's a couple of videos of Fran, and man, she's just awesome how she breaks things down. This was a little bit longer, but yeah, we show this one.
I cannot believe it, quite frankly, how far apart we are on so many things, how they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting. Shame on them. They stand on the wrong side of history at this very moment. We stand in solidarity, in unprecedented unity. Our union and our sister unions and the unions around the world are standing by us, as well as other labor unions. Because at some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored. The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history that is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business. Who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family? Most of Americans don't have more than $500 in an emergency.
Wow.
Well, true. I mean, true. But you know what's funny is, like, the actors are butthurt about this, where honestly, this is affecting most industries.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact,
they're at least doing. They're at least doing something.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference is that, you're writing something for a company, and it's like, oh, we don't need to use you anymore. We're just going to use AI. The difference with the actors is like, oh, you don't need to act. We're just going to create this AI image of you using your voice and everything else, and we don't even need you anymore. And unfortunately, in a lot of the contracts, it's like the music industry. When people were signing record deals, because the music industry and the labels didn't really know what the medium was going to do in the future, they made it very ambiguous. So it was like, any format that exists in the future, we own. So when MP3 started coming out, all of the creators that were making the music were like, hey, this is like, we own this is ours. And the record labels were like, nope, you signed this right here 10 years ago. It's ours, because, we didn't know what the future was going to hold. So they have these clauses in these contracts. And unfortunately, a lot of it's like that Black Mirror episode. And by the way, the Black Mirror episode is called Joan is Awful. That's the name of it, because she's like a really mean person. And so it's like her whole life is being exposed, and that's kind of like what the episode is. And she's trying to change then. But yeah, I think that's why everyone's a little bit more of afraid of this. Where in the writers, it's just like, oh, well, we don't, we're not going to pay you like, $100,000 to write this. We'll just use AI and that's it. We'll just have our editors look over it. Or it's like they may contribute a small amount just so they can have that writer's name on the credit line, so it makes it look good. But it's like AI that's wrote like, half.
I feel like the writers are way more screwed than the actors.
That's what I mean. I think so too. Because
And
the actors
too, artists and writers, I think, are the most screwed right now. And actors, of course, they're coming for them next. But this whole thing that's going on, I'm glad it's going on. And I think it may lead to the dominoes are falling. Let's put it that way. And I don't think AI is going to go on much longer. Personally, I think that there has to be a series of events that occur that undermine AI's development.
Well, there already is actually.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Tell me
what they're finding is that, especially for the open AI and the more advanced version that they have, how much it costs them every time a question is asked by anybody. So anytime a response is given, and because so many people have been using it, they're realizing this is costing massive amount of money. And so they're intentionally kind of holding off now of advancing AI, specifically because of the amount of servers that are needed to host it and how much money it costs. So that, I was like, that's really interesting. Now that could actually be more of an excuse for something different, but
what do you mean?
I mean, like in a sense of maybe something is happening more in the AI world in the back end of something, it's more of in a sense of, or maybe on a higher perspective, on a higher level, maybe this is like God saying like, nope, you cannot do this anymore. And it's just kind of manifesting at this like level of like, oh, it's costing too much. We can't really do it anymore.
Well, I mean, think about the state of a future society where humans just don't have to use their brains that much.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like we would become, because these things like writing, acting, artistic skills, photography, they push your mind in a specific way. And you take all of that creativity out of society and you give it over to a machine, and you've literally taken the thing away that makes human beings special, this creativity part of them, and you're throwing it in the trash and asking them not to do it anymore. And people have no reason to be ambitious and to learn and to get better at something. This is just dangerous.
It is.
I don't see that going well.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So Lindsay found something else related to this. This is Michael Jamin.
Great last name.
Yeah.
I think he's been a writer in Hollywood for something like 30 years, and he worked on King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead and those kind of comedy shows. And his Instagram has some really interesting videos about writing and stuff, but he's also been updating about the writer's strike the whole time.
Negotiations between the Actors Guild and the studios has broken down, and starting tomorrow, the actors will be on strike with the writers. Why tomorrow? Because they need a day to get into hair and makeup, actors. So things are about to get real because the studios, they don't really like writers. They just suffer us because we're kind of difficult. My words! Shut up with your words. Just type, you moron. But they love actors, even though actors can be even more difficult. But actors, at least they're celebrities. And the studios, they're star effers. They love you. I've been to their homes, and there's like pictures everywhere of their arms around every celebrity they've ever worked with. And you're like, where are the pictures of your kids? And they're like, well, they're around here somewhere, looking on the floor. So this is how negotiations usually break down.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
After a bunch of rounds, the studios say, listen, we can't afford to give you any more. If we give you more, we'll go out of business. So this is our last and final offer. Take it or leave it. Then the writers or the actors go on strike. And then 2 or 3 months later, the studios say, you know what? Turns out we found some extra money behind the couch, and we can afford to give you health and pension and more residuals and stuff like that. And then they go on for the next 15 years to record profits. So, don't always buy what they're saying. This strike is a little different. And that's a fact. That's history. You can look it up. But this strike, in my opinion, is a little different, and that's not fact. It's just my opinion. I think this is more about AI, and I think the studios are thinking, you know what? In maybe 5 or 10 years, not quite now, but in 5 or 10 years, we won't need to hire as many writers or actors or even the crew members, because we can shoot these movies and TV shows inside the computer. So I obviously pay attention. Your jobs are on the line too. So they're thinking we can cut our labor costs to a fraction by using AI. Right? And so that's why we are fighting for our livelihoods. Now, some of you are going to say, you're all fools because you can't stop the spread of technology. It's inevitable. To which I say, maybe you're right. But you know what? Every single actor and writer who got into the business are dreamers who chased the dream and managed to catch it. We know what it's like to fight fights that are ridiculously hard, right? And what do actors start off as? Waiters. They know what it's like to struggle. I was never a waiter, although I was scooping yogurt at Humphrey Yogurt and the Beverly Connection, who recognizes me from the white apron I used to wear. So I know what it's like to struggle too. And so, yeah, are we fighting a fight we can't win? I don't know, maybe not, but but we will still fight it because that's what we do. You know, a few years ago, I was getting my annual physical from my doctor, and he was like, "What show are you working on?" And I was like, "It's been a couple of months. I'm in between gigs." And he was like, "Whoa, I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know how you guys do it." 30 seconds later, no joke, he had his hand up my ass. And I'm thinking, you know what? There are parts about your career that I don't think I would like. Or would I? Anyway, for more about what it's like to be a TV writer on strike, keep following me here at Michael Jamin Writer. So the
That was pretty comedically well done.
Yeah.
His page is really good.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, here we go. So
sense.
the SAG strike. Jason Sudeikis, Rosario Dawson, and Morsars descend on picket lines. So actors. Yep, go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna, he kind of brought it up too, because traditionally, the actors that usually go on strike aren't typically A-list actors, because they're the ones making all the money, and it's like so it's like whatever. And then, like he said, industry's like, here's some money. What's different with the AI aspect is that this is mostly affecting the top people, or could be affecting them, because it's like, well, instead of paying you millions upon millions of dollars, we'll just use your AI image and call it a day.
Well, and there is an absurd amount of money in these places. And this is one of the reasons why I think the actors go on strike, is like they know that these studios are BSing and that they have tons and tons of cash, and that they're just being, cheap, or whatever you want to call it, right? And so we're talking about like billions and billions and billions of dollars in these areas. So when they want to increase margins by pushing out an entire group of people, it just doesn't make sense. It's like the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and there's way more of a separation or a margin between both of these groups now, more and more every day, every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is we'll keep an eye on this to see what happens. I'm really curious to see how the studios are going to respond to this. But on the other aspect of the coin is, all production in Hollywood pretty much came to a halt over the last 2 days. So pretty much everything came to a halt.
Yeah, that means no new Netflix series, no new movies, no new anything. Basically, everything is at a halt.
Yeah, pretty much
all
everything.
The studios that are connected to this.
Unless it's like some kind of independent film, something like that, or something really not connected, or, that would be the only thing. Or people not working in, or not associated with SAG, but most of the actors in Hollywood are associated with SAG. So there's like different rules and regulations. Like if you're part of SAG, you're not technically supposed to be working for film
this is an
production.
opportunity, I think, Ben, for you and I. We should just start creating movies and be every actor in the movie.
And we could just use it. No, actually, that would be great. We can
Sometimes
do that.
I have brilliant ideas,
Yeah, we could try that and see if it works.
It's not going to go well when there's a black character. We're gonna get fried for that.
That is true. We'll just hire Dom.
There you go. Bring in Dom. He'll be every black character in there. Lindsay will be every Jewish character in there.
That's funny. I'm sure Dom would do it too. He'd be down for it.
Oh, Dom we'd have a ball with him.
Dom does he does a lot of our kind of our social media content and some of the things behind the scenes for what Rob and I do. So he's cool. He's a fun guy. All right. The cryptocurrency. Let's get into this whole XRP thing, which is kind of confusing, but very fascinating. So this XRP, which is a crypto, like what they're calling an altcoin, an alternate coin, is like not one of the main ones. Like, yeah, everyone knows Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin are pretty much the main three, and then everything else they kind of call an altcoin. And the SEC has been put a halt on this company, which is the main company is called Ripples. It's Ripple, and then they have this token, this XRP, and basically the whole thing has been, is this a securities? And
wait, is this what?
Is it does it fall under a security?
Oh,
like,
I see.
You know, like a security exchange. And what that means basically, it is kind of like a it's kind of a like a gray area for all aspects of this. So, you know, like if Rob and I were starting a business and we want to you know, get funding and whatnot, and then it's like, let's say we have like shares of that company, we get, you know, investors investing in our company, and then it's like, hey, you'll get a return after X amount of time, let's say a year, you'll get a return on your investment and whatever. That would be considered by the SEC like an exchange or security, part of this whole securities package and everything else. But if we created a coin and we just put that out there, not trying to get investing for it, just saying, hey, you can buy this as like, you know, somebody, one of our fans can go out there and just buy a coin, then it's like, that's different. But if we had coins and we went to investors, this is where it gets all confusing. And this is, it's interesting because on one side, you have some people, more so the Democrats, trying to control and manipulate how the cryptocurrency world works. And it's not just Democrats, but it's more kind of, you know, BlackRock kind of associated people and World Economic Forum and things like that. There's other Congress people out there that are like, no, you know, this should be totally separate, and crypto should be, you know, it shouldn't be controlled or regulated by any kind of government or identity bank or whatever it is. So that's why this is kind of important, because what the winning of this did was kind of saying, hey, this isn't like, yeah, we won this case, so it's not really, it doesn't need to be regulated. You know, we don't want the government to regulate this. So in the last 2 days, it kind of drove up all cryptocurrency. This is the highest it's ever been since 2021. So from the other day, because of this landmark ruling and what happened and everything else. So that's the positive aspect of this. It was kind of like, hey, you know, big government in a way, you know, it won over it won against big government. But the downside is that, you know, as I was looking into this a little bit more, and I didn't realize this until way later, is that XRP has been promoted by the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
any digital currency would be promoted by them, right? Because they're trying to.
Well, not necessarily. And I think what makes XRP different was how they got started up and everything. But so, and because of what they did with trying to go around the Securities Exchange Commission, you know, it was like they were trying to go around this. So I think what happened was, in BlackRock is now involved with XRP too. So I think
So then what's the catch here with XRP?
Yeah. So the ultimate goal, as we know, of like the World Economic Forum would be to create the
central bank digital currency.
Yes, exactly. And so, and it's in one country they've already kind of like taken a step to actually achieve this. And I think it was in India. I can't remember exactly which country it was. Now I have it here in the doc, but this country is moving closer to having this centralized digital global currency. And I want to say it was could be India, but and it was just one exchange that kind of did this. So I think from my understanding of all of this, to kind of break it down in like a simple way, I think what happened was BlackRock, it was like, we need to win this no matter what happens. If they lose this, if they win this, we need to make sure we win. So I think BlackRock invested into this on both sides. So in other words, if the SEC won, it's like, great, that's one step closer for creating our, centralized digital, our banking digital currency, but then it's like, well, what happens if they lose? Well, if they lose, let's invest into XRP. And that way we can get them to kind of mold into the direction that we want them to mold into, because we're providing the capital at this point. And I think that's exactly what happened. So that's why it's like a win for the little people out there that aren't in big business and aren't doing this for, investing into like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's just like, for your average person out there that's just kind of investing into cryptocurrency. Of course, this is a win for the general public out there, because it's like, oh, great. It's like the little guy kind of, lost against or won against the SEC. So now it's like, we don't have to worry about as many rules and regulations right now. And this kind of sets a precedent for future lawsuits against the SEC as well. And that's the positive angle. The negative angle is that BlackRock or some World Economic Forum company could come in and start like throwing money around. And it's like, on the surface, it's like, oh, great. Look, this company's like BlackRock's like giving us money. Like, isn't this a good thing? And, it's helping us out and everything else. But it's like, they don't care. It's BlackRock. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like short-term benefits, long-term drawbacks.
That's exactly it. And it's like they're hoping that people are not going to be looking into the long-term drawbacks. It's like, which is like
every single bill that gets written now in every country. Yeah. And someone actually, Beach Bum in the chat said XRP was created to help transfer currency between banks. This is my understanding. And this is, from my understanding, why it's important to the World Economic Forum, because it's like, if you want to create one digital global currency, well, you're going to need all the banks to start using this. And then the Web3 comes in, and this is supposedly, it's like, on the surface, they're like, oh, we're building this on like blockchain technology. Everything is more secure than ever before because of the blockchain technology. But then it's like, well, we're going to shut everything else down, and you're only going to be able to trade with this one thing. That's the ultimate fear and the ultimate goal that I think, for me personally, I think the World Economic Forum has with all of this. Whether or not that would ever happen is another story. I do think that there are positive and good people within politics, within the system, that are really trying hard not to get this to happen, because everyone's going to be affected if this does, no matter who they are. So, but yeah, anyway, so that it's a, it's like, it's weird too, because a couple years ago, prior, like when Trump was kind of president still, a lot of these big corporations and companies were talking about how they were speaking out against, especially like JP Morgan. They were one of the biggest
talking against cryptocurrency for so long. And then all of a sudden he changed his tone and was just like, hey, we're going to invest into crypto now. This is a good thing. And it was like, whoa, what just happened here? Why are all the banks all of a sudden for this? What's the plan?
Something was presented.
And then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, they're talking about the CBDC, the global banking digital currency. And then that's like, okay, that's what happened right there. They saw how they can use this. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we'll throw some money into this. And like you said, it's like a short-term thing, like, yay. And then boom, they control it. So no, it's like, honestly, I do still think that cryptocurrency is a good thing because it's not centralized, but like everything else, it can just be manipulated and used depending on who has the most money and who's investing in it. So,
right.
But yeah. So anyway, that's all what happened the other day. So there was actually quite a few people that made money if they had the XRP. Actually, I have a lot of friends who got it a long time ago when it was like hardly anything. So everyone was like texting me like, this is actually really cool. It's like, can you break this down to me and explain this a little bit? Because I'm still and then so a lot of my friends were like helping me understand it. But it's like anything else, it can still be used and manipulated. So
yeah, we've got some interesting comments here in the chat. Beach Bum said XRP was created to help transfer currency between banks, is my understanding. Interesting. Kaleko said BlackRock is trying to get ATEF for Bitcoin. Not sure exactly what that means. But then also XRP is for cross-border payments. So that's interesting if that's true, because if they created XRP for transferring money between banks, then that is sort of a potential future, like part of the future strategy of digital currencies being, crossed over. You'd transfer over into XRP and then kind of.
I think that the original creators of this had good intentions, but I think now that it sounds like, once the World Economic Forum and the BlackRock kind of got involved, it was like, I'm sure they made a boatload of money on this, and that's kind of all they're looking at. And, and they may actually have good intentions of wanting to help the world, but unfortunately, this could be utilized as a way to roll out.
And I mean, anything can be, right?
It's true though.
Good things that people have taken advantage of and turned.
And this is the problem for the good people, because of this notion or this mindset of thinking like, oh, how can I utilize this to really twist and warp this and, do something really bad for humanity and get rich from this. Granted, there are people out there, but it's like, it's hard because some people really want to do something that's good. And if someone out there is like Bill Gates or, Mark Zuckerberg or whoever it is like, hey, this is actually, we can use it. We can utilize this to push an agenda. And then it's like, you call that person like, hey, we really want to invest in this. We think this is the great opportunity for the future, blah, 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 blah. And then slowly they take it all over. So basically what China does for all companies. You can pretty much say that with the CCP. They're always like, oh, everything's great. We'll give you whatever you want. And then at the end of the day, they take everything over.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Time for a trailer, I think.
Yeah, we have a trailer. We still have some stuff to get into. So let's play a trailer.
Let's do it.
It's weird. It's informative. It's supernatural. It's Friday Night Live on Rise.tv.
We looked into Microsoft's launch of the next version of ChatGPT, which even has developers wondering if technology is going too far.
Well, everyone is sick of fear and politics, which is why we started this show back in 2018 to talk about the weirdest news and most entertaining information we find each week.
Nickelback might be the reason why we have life on Earth.
The advertising board caused hilarity among many drivers. A real-life Terminator liquid metal T-1000.
Let's laugh at the headlines on Friday Night Live on Rise.tv.
A vast secret history. A lost ancient civilization. An empire they tried to erase. Tartaria's hidden past is just as fictional as Atlantis. Or is it? Humanoid giants. Magical creatures that shouldn't exist. Dogmen. Centaurs. Magicians. And evil spirits. Why did the Soviet communists remove all traces of Tartaria from their books? Why was it so important to wipe Tartaria off the face of the earth? Take a glimpse into the truth of the past. You were never supposed to know.
So, did Genghis Khan's ancestors and the Tartarians really discover America? Was Tartaria a global civilization?
Forgotten maps. The journals of Marco Polo. Ancient structures. Evidence of advanced technology. Edge of Wonder brings you Tartaria.
All right.
Everyone, that was our Tartaria series over on Rise.tv. That's a really fun series. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go check that out. You can subscribe to Rise TV by just paying $9.99 a month. That'll help us keep doing what we're doing and give you guys way more content in return over there on Rise.tv. So if you like what you're doing, or you can find it in your heart, we'd really appreciate it. It'll keep everything going, keep the lights on and everything.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've
actually got to go over to Rise.tv pretty soon. Did you want to talk about something else before we do that?
Well, we were going to get into the moon rock, radioactive moon rock.
Yes. Okay.
And then we have the International Space Station thing. So yeah, this one. Yeah. So okay. So scientists discover mysterious radioactive rock on the far side of the moon. I honestly, at this point, anything that they tell us what it is, I don't believe it.
I know, right?
I'm just gonna state that up front. I'm gonna say what they claim it to be. I highly doubt this is what it is, but they have discovered and confirmed a radioactive granite formation underneath the surface of the far side of the moon. It was in a paper that came out. This unexpected rock formation might offer researchers some clues about our moon's long history. Because the main thing is, Rob and I have explained this multiple times on the show, and we even have like a whole series about the moon. Nothing makes sense for any explanation they have about the moon. Some say that it came from Earth, like broke off of Earth, which doesn't make sense because I think it's titanium. There's a lot of titanium on the moon, and that's not very common.
Well, it's not just titanium. It's an ultra purified version of titanium that can only really be reached by tampering of some sort.
Yep. The other explanation was that it was some kind of giant space rock that was hurling through space and then it caught in the Earth's orbit. But that doesn't make sense either because
it's hollow.
Well, that we actually, it has been confirmed that it's hollow, but because the sun's gravitational pull is way stronger. So it would have bypassed the Earth and went towards the sun and not Earth. So because of the size of it as well. So it's like 30% the size of Earth, and most satellites and moons are only up to 5% the size of their planet. So that's also doesn't make any sense. So probably the most unlikely scenario is more likely the case for the moon. So
Well, it just also, I think, just regarding this radioactive rock, which is so interesting. Why are none of the other rocks radioactive and this one is?
that's the other aspect.
Where did the radioactive rock, where are they saying it came from versus where it really came from? I mean,
Yeah, and how did it get radioactive? That's the other aspect.
that's what I mean.
too,
It's
right?
like that.
Yeah. So they said that it was there's like several volcanoes, but honestly,
There are no volcanoes on the
There's
moon.
volcanoes too. I know. It's like I don't know. I
They're still
think
trying-
if there
they're
was
like
a volcano, we would have
trying
seen it erupt at some point in the last 13,000 years.
They're trying to still come across as if the moon is this normal planetoid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
And that's from our understanding and from our research of many nights of researching this and putting it all together. It's just nothing makes sense. And also, like, one of the things that we pointed out about the moon is the craters.
Those would be much deeper.
Incredibly deep. The deepest crater is only
Within 4 miles, isn't it?
I think it was within 4 miles, and that could actually be, it could be less. But anyway, it was a certain amount, and none of them go deeper. No, I know what it was. It was like if one of the craters, if it's for the size,
The circumference.
the circumference of it, it should be 4 miles deep, but it's not.
Right. Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
It was,
and all of the like meteors or whatever that have hit, like the level is all at the same level. None of them go
every
beyond
single
that.
one of them. Every single one of them, which doesn't make sense either. So
No.
a lot of things doesn't add up with that. So yeah, anyway, not saying that the world is flat by all means. We were just saying that there's something way deeper going on with the moon there. So anyway, so it will be interesting. I want to keep kind of an eye on this to see what other people are saying, maybe other people that are talking about it outside of the normal scientific community, but have some knowledge and understanding of these things.
Yeah, we had a couple of episodes on Mood Madness, metaphysical, and then a bunch of episodes in Edge of Wonder.
Yeah, we had a lot.
Everything
We had a
on the
live
moon.
show. And okay, last but not least, before we jump off here and do the weirder news and talk about do a Q&A too. So there was this is interesting because the International Space Station, they have a live feed. You can watch the live feed. And there did seem to be some kind of UFO that went on this live feed, and it was caught for almost 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think this what we're going to be watching here is it's not the full 20 minutes, but it was floating around for 20 minutes.
This is a UFO that was observed for 22 minutes near the International Space Station. I think it was in 2020 or before. The object is of a shape and size that is not recognizable as any known rocket or capsule and appears to move in a straight line upward and disappear. It could be an alien spaceship, a secret U.S. Air Force stealth device, or some new type of technology, but it is something peculiar. The NASA camera zooms in on the object, but the crew members seem unaware of it or do not mention it much, although the object is described as being pyramid or hive-shaped. This is a UFO.
Yeah. Isn't that
So
cool?
that
looks big too. I mean, it looks like it could be like 300 feet at least.
well, and it looks like it's parked itself right in front of the camera on purpose.
That's what it almost does look like that. I'm kind of more voting for some kind of Black Ops
That
military.
looks U.S. Air Force.
It really does. It's like all black,
And there's some stuff that I've heard that gets that high that they use for, surveillance and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all. I wouldn't at all doubt it. And it's interesting because a lot of the crafts, like the real alien crafts, seem mostly metallic and chrome. from a lot of the stories I've heard, rather than like jet black. And it's almost like if something is jet black, it's probably one of ours.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, not that doesn't necessarily mean it's always like that. I was just like from a lot of the things that I've been hearing now from some of these UFO guys in the military and everything, it seems to be the case. A lot of the crafts that they have seem to be more chrome metallic in nature. So
all right, well, it's time to go over to rise.tv now, where we're going to do a live Q&A where you guys ask us your questions, we give us your best answer. We give you our best answer, rather. And then, yes, we're going to do the weirder news of the week, and we've got some doozies in there. So if you can...
And mermaids.
Mermaids, that's right.
Yeah, we got this thing on mermaids.
So if you can, please subscribe to rise.tv. Come over and join us. We'd love to have you over there. Have a good time, and it'll really help us overcome a lot of the censorship that's hit us, and also deliver you guys a lot more content. So you're really helping everybody out a lot on the team that works so hard to get you this content. And yeah, we could really use the help. So without further ado, we'll head over to rise.tv. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being with us. We love you all. And yeah, have a great weekend.
What if I told you that octopuses are so smart they may even have extrasensory abilities? That's right. I'm talking about a psychic octopus.
That sounds like a terrible B horror movie.
What's happening?
It's a huge squid. It's got the glider.
In 2010, during the FIFA World Cup at South Africa, an octopus in Germany correctly predicted the outcomes for all 7 of the German team's soccer matches. But he also picked Spain to win the final against the Netherlands. The octopus, who was named Paul...
Who names an octopus, Paul?
This octopus, Paul, indicated his favored teams by choosing between food and glass cases containing flags of 2 opposing teams.
You've heard about Cthulhu and the Kraken. You've wondered about superpowers and the occult. You've seen movies and TV shows reveal truths that even they may not have realized. Is a cephalopod takeover on the horizon? Are eels interdimensional? Have reckless oil companies unleashed an evil on the world that they don't want you to know about? Join Edge of Wonder for a deep dive into the cryptids of the abyss.